Hey, are you Amanda?
That's me.
Do you want to walk around Excelsior with me?
I would love to. I am from this general area. We're taking a little walk in Excelsior today. My two best friends who co-host the podcast with me are also Minnesota grads.
Oh, I didn't
We've
know
known
that.
each other for, it feels like a million years. And now we host a podcast together called Wine and Crime. We started the show in 2017, so February of 2017. We just really missed each other. One of our hosts, Kenyon, was living in Johannesburg, South Africa, so she was really far away. Lucy was and still is in Des Moines. I was here and kind of thought maybe we could work on a project together. And one of our favorite things to do when we're all together is sit on the couch in our jammies and drink wine and watch old episodes of Forensic Files.
Oh, yes.
And so we were doing that, and we kind of, riff on the reenactments and like pick apart the stories. And we were like, we're kind of funny. Like, we could do this as a podcast.
Yeah.
So that's sort of the inspiration for the whole thing. We started at a really, really good time. So hard work plus luck equals success, I think. So we launched our show within the same year as another very famous true crime podcast called My Favorite Murder. And they kind of paved the way for the genre that we are now in, that is true crime comedy, which seems like a really weird combination of things. But it strangely works really well, as long as you're careful about where the comedy portion is coming in. So we get most of the laughter about just our friendship, childhood stories, things that might come up while we're having conversations about some pretty wild crimes that we can oddly relate to or, draw back to our own experiences. And I think a lot of people were drawn to that because we were talking about true crime the way that girlfriends talk about true crime. Took off pretty quickly, actually, shockingly enough. Say about 6 months to a year in, our absolute business shark, Kenyon, so she was listening to a lot of shows and she was like, I wonder if I reach out to some of these people like HelloFresh or whatever that are doing ads on these other shows, if they would maybe want to sponsor us. And so honestly, it was like cold calling, cold emailing, and just creating these connections with brands that we thought would be a good fit. And they bit. And then we started monetizing the show. Now it's mostly administrative, emailing, researching. And then we have a lot of other branches to our business. We do all of our own merchandise. We do, obviously, brand deals. We still do all of that ourselves. Wine deals, things like that. So a typical day is either writing, recording, or a lot of meetings. But it is a lot of work. We did our first live show ever in Northeast Minneapolis at a brewery called Bauhaus for like 100 people. 2018, I think, was our first ever live show. And then in 2019, we had a huge tour that was like 3 months long. We went to a bunch of different cities. It was so cool. And then when we were getting ready to go on our third tour, you know what happened there.
I do.
So our show is kind of unique in that it's not serialized. So it's not like one long linear story. Each episode is a topic, and either it's a topic that we're curious about that we want to cover, or we do have listeners who subscribe to us on Patreon, and they will submit suggestions. So we pick a topic, and then Lucy covers the background in psychology or any interesting facts pertaining to that topic. And Kenyon and I each do a case pertaining to that topic. So it makes it a little bit easier to pick, because it's like, find something under this umbrella. It's the most important element of, honestly, working in the true crime space is making sure you're staying victim focused and, focusing on those individual stories, remembering that they are real people with real lives who also have real loved ones who are grieving them. I had to learn so many new skills to be able to pull this off. Learning all the tech, getting everything right, figuring out, there's a million things behind every door that you open. You have to learn a million new things to be able to walk through it. Our numbers that kind of dictate where we're going to go. So we're always going to go to cities where we have the biggest listenership. Minneapolis, we have a lot. It's our hometown. Our biggest show we've ever done was here. It was in St. Paul at the Fitzgerald Theater, and that was an amazing experience.
How do we find you on social media?
You can find Wine and Crime on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at Wine and Crime Pod. You can find us at wineandcrimepodcast.com. You can find our podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Really, we're out there. We're ready for you.
Thanks for watching this episode of Trails and Tales. We have new episodes coming out every single week interviewing some really cool Minnesotans. Make sure to follow us for more, and you'll see us on the next episode. See you guys later.